Jodi, and I wanted to take the chance to take a little trip kind of down memory lane in line with some of my recent beauty throwbacks, and maybe just go on a little bit of an adventure with you around different makeup brands. So the first one I thought I would start with is M.A.C. When I started making videos on YouTube, M.A.C was it. M.A.C was the brand that we all talked about, and I wanted to talk about how I discovered the brand, what I loved about the brand, the products that I still use from the brand, things that really stick out. So I've been through all of my collection and I've picked out all the bits and pieces that I thought were worth mentioning. Some of them are still available, some of them are not, but if you have been using M.A.C over the years, if you've been watching YouTube videos for years, I thought that you might enjoy this. If I had to go back, I would say it was probably 20 years ago that I tried my very first M.A.C product. So that would have been, the late 90s or the very early 2000s. And I remember talking to a friend and she had the most beautiful glossy lips. And I had to ask her what she had on her lips because they were just tantalizingly just so juicy looking. And that was where it all started. She was wearing M.A.C's famous lip gloss. I still have some in my collection. This is a very sticky, tacky, clear lip gloss that you can just apply over everything, and it just gives a really tacky shine. Shortly thereafter, I moved to the US, and I remember I was really struggling with oil breakouts throughout the day. It was back in the day where pretty much you could not walk into a M.A.C store or a M.A.C counter without coming across a beautiful, beautiful male with the most beautiful makeup on his face. Back in the days of, RuPaul and all of that, that really epitomized M.A.C back then. But I walked in, he walked up to me and he just had this beautiful immaculate face, and I told him my problem was oil control throughout the day. Without any words, he just walked over to the wall and he grabbed this. This is the blot powder pressed from M.A.C. I have the shade here, medium. This is not the one that he sold me 20 years ago. Oh gosh, probably 18, 17 years ago it was, but he said this is what you need to use, and we went to ring it up, and I was thinking this is probably going to be expensive because it's M.A.C, and back then I was really only used to, for the most part, drugstore products, but I was ready to splurge. And then I asked him, what would be the best thing to apply that powder with, for my oil control? Am I going to use a sponge? Does it come with a sponge? Do I use a brush? What do I use? I don't know. And without saying anything, he went over to the wall of brushes, he grabbed a brush and he rang it up. And once I saw the amount on the cash register, that's the first time in my life I can remember having absolute sticker shock. I was too embarrassed to say anything. I paid for it, and it took me probably a good hour to recover from the transaction. The product that he recommended I still have in my collection, and it has not done me wrong in the last 18 years. It still looks almost pretty new. The writing on the brush is still there. It was the M.A.C 136. So this is my first M.A.C brush that I ever had. Just a beautiful powder brush that's tapered. I still use this brush all the time to apply powder. I use this to apply bronzer. It's beautiful. You can obviously turn it on the side. You can use the thin edge. I use this to apply highlighter, to apply blush. It's a really beautiful brush and worth the heart palpitation. So lip glass, the blot powder, and then the 136 brush, they were my very, very first M.A.C products that I ever had. Closely followed by, and I can't remember, maybe this was one that probably came before the blot powder actually, was this. This really, again, the word epitomized the 1990s. If you read any magazine, any beauty section of any magazine, and they were talking about lip pencils, if they were talking to you about how to make sure that your lipstick didn't bleed, this is the first lip pencil that I ever remember reading about, that I really ever remember purchasing. You know what I'm going to say. It's the M.A.C lip pencil in the shade Spice. This was the colour of the 1990s. And I'm not sure, I have a feeling that the colour kind of changed over the years. Spice was sort of the universal shade that was recommended to everyone. I prefer other shades. I'm wearing, I think, Subculture today. Stripdown and a bit of Stone. But I have since, loved my M.A.C lip liners. As I said, I'm wearing the Stripdown. That's just a little bit browner. I do love a brownie type lip pencil. I love Stripdown from MAC, and then I adore Stone as well. Stone is just an unusual kind of more grey brown shade. I love this with nudes. It's not very modern, but I love this to just sort of define sometimes the very corners of my lips, sometimes to give just a little bit of shadow under my bottom lip to make that look a little bit poutier. I love MAC Stone, it's beautiful, and I'm not sure if they still make it, but I would prefer to never be without it. This one of pretty much any lip pencils, love Stone. It's absolutely beautiful. So the lip pencils, they were a great introduction to MAC too. So very quickly, again, I was in America, I started watching YouTube videos, and the foundation of the day definitely was the MAC Studio Fix Fluid. I have repurchased a MAC Studio Fix over the years. It is a really lovely product that looks great. I don't feel like it's too heavy for me. You can apply it lightly, you can apply it with a sponge, you can apply it with a brush, you can apply it with your fingers, as light or as heavy as you want. It looks great on camera. It's SPF 15 for what it's worth, and you of course can buy a pump as well to make it just a little bit easier to dispense. Sometimes I'll use NW25, NC25, but that's about my shade. I really enjoy the Studio Fix Fluid, a beautiful foundation and a cult product from MAC. Right, so then I started venturing into primers and different things like that. This is definitely an iconic product from MAC. I really have always made sure that I've either got a Strobe Cream or a Strobe Lotion in my collection over the years. I am wearing the Studio Fluid on my face today with some Strobe Cream underneath. The Strobe Cream was probably the very first illuminating primer that I certainly remember ever seeing. I don't know if it's actually a primer. I'll generally use some other kind of oil control product anyway, but this just does a beautiful job of helping everything look like it's glowing from within. There have been so many other illuminating primers that have come after this, but I still love the Strobe Cream. It's a beautiful product and it just does really nice things for my skin. Here's a primer that I absolutely loved. If I had to think about my favorite primer in the whole wide world, it would be this. It was discontinued long ago, probably at least 10 years ago. I'm not sure if we ever found this in Australia because we have different SPF rules, but it was just beautiful, not only for SPF, but for oil control, for smoothing. It was such a beautiful primer, and I've still got this and it still smells fine, and I've just got a few little drops in there. Every so often I will just apply a little bit just because I want to revisit it, but it's going to be time to say goodbye to this very soon. But it's the MAC Prep and Prime Face Protection Visage SPF 50. I don't know what it was about it that made it so beautiful for oil control. It was just such a beautiful product. There was something, I think, about the ingredient or something that meant they had to reformulate or change it up or something, I don't know, but that was a very sad day, the day that they discontinued this product. Best primer in the whole wide world for my entire life. It was beautiful. Have to mention, of course, MAC Fix Plus, another iconic product. I think my love for this has grown more and more over the years. My appreciation for spraying my face before I apply my foundation, my appreciation for spraying over powder if I'm just doing a quick change from day to night, just to keep everything looking refreshed. My appreciation for that has grown over the years, and the MAC Fix Plus is beautiful. I've really enjoyed the different scents that they've come out with. I love the original. I really enjoy the gold. I just filmed that in an empties video, but most recently they have released the Magic Radiance Fix Plus All Day Hydrating Spray with vitamin C. I'm really enjoying this. I'll never be without vitamin C. I'll never be without Fix Plus. Now, other foundations that I have come to love from MAC, I would say, I'm sure that my most popular video on this channel of all time has been my review of MAC foundations. It took a long time to film. I did, full day tests of every MAC foundation that was available. It's really embarrassing for me to watch. I had a crinkled piece of fabric, crinkled sheet up in the background. The lighting was shocking. I had a really messy bathroom background. I don't know if you can see that at any point in the video, but it's very difficult for me to watch, so I don't really watch it. But it's got over 1 million views. But some of the foundations that have found a long-lasting place in my collection a long time after that MAC foundation review video would be this. I don't even know if this was included in the video. I think it's come out since, but I still love this product. It's the MAC Pro Longwear Nourishing Waterproof Foundation. A beautiful product, great coverage, looks beautiful and smoothing on the skin, great on camera. Love this product. Another foundation that has always been in my collection since I bought it. Took a long time for me to really fully appreciate it, and it's the MAC Face and Body. When I first tried the MAC Face and Body foundation, I think I just found it too light. I don't think I appreciated the finish. My skin got too oily with it, and you know, I didn't really know how to apply it. Now, since I've seen makeup videos from Pixie Woo, and my friend here on YouTube, Sharon Farrell, I remember getting together with her for a dinner and asking her about what her favorite foundation was to use for all of the bridal work that she was doing back then, and she loved the Face and Body. It's really nice and portable. It comes in a nice lightweight plastic squeezy bottle. I have since learnt that you should really apply it with your fingers. It's probably the best way to apply it, and it thickens up as you blend it into your fingers, and then as you apply it, the more you blend it, the more it thickens up. You can build it until the cows come home, so any kind of coverage that you want, you really can build it up with the Face and Body, and it's waterproof, so you can apply it to your face, you can bring it down, you can apply it on your legs if you need more coverage on your legs. A really, I guess, versatile product. I can see why makeup artists love it, but as as my skin has changed, as I've aged, as I've come to appreciate more than just a heavy coverage foundation, I really appreciate the MAC Face and Body foundation. So definitely one that I'll probably never be without. Now, their concealers. Their concealers is another thing that I've really enjoyed over the years. Definitely the higher coverage Studio Finish concealer. I feel like this will cover absolutely anything. You can really, you know, use a tiny little brush, tiny amount, and really get some good coverage for, particularly for blemishes or pigmentation on your face with the Studio Finish concealer. Really like that. I also still really love, for under the eyes, the Mineralise concealer. I'm wearing the Mineralise concealer under my eyes today. This is the NW20. I'm not even sure if they still make this, but I really like the little brush applicator. It's a beautiful finish. It's not too drying. It's not too lightweight. I feel like it just covers enough, and it sits beautifully under my eye. And then this is one I spoke about in a beauty throwback, the Pro Longwear concealers. I really enjoy these. They're beautiful. I really like to use these on my face, not usually under my eyes, but anywhere for blemishes or pigmentation or anything like that. Really love that concealer. It's a beautiful one. You really don't need a whole lot. Powders. I've really liked MAC powders over the years, but my favorite would have to be, well, probably one of my favorite powders of all time is the Studio Fix. MAC Studio Fix is a product that can be used as a powder foundation on its own. It does come in a compact with a mirror and also a little sponge. So you could just whack on your moisturizer and skincare and use your sponge to apply the Studio Fix. It's beautiful, buildable coverage. You're going to get a lot of coverage from this powder, and I tend to just use this over the top of a foundation or even a tinted moisturizer or something like that. I really like spot applying this to actually set my concealer if I'm covering any blemishes. It just adds that coverage, it adds a beautiful smoothness, and even just a lovely sort of luminosity. It just has a beautiful finish. I love this powder. Again, very camera friendly. Love it, love it, love it. Don't apply too much or it will look cakey, but I just adore it. Another product that MAC was very famous for back when I started making YouTube videos was their mineralized skin finishes. This is one that I actually have in dark, and I'll still use this as a bronzer. Don't forget that if you do have any face powders that maybe you bought when you were tanning and they're too dark for you, that you can still use them as bronzers, and I bought this one as a bronzer. But the mineralized skin finishes were just for a more natural finish to set your makeup or all on its own. Another mineralized skin finish, this is one that I just couldn't make a MAC video without showing you, was the very infamous Stereo Rose Mineralized Skin Finish. This is really just a shimmery blush, I guess, but gosh, it was limited edition. It was all the rage when it came out. Highly, highly sought after. I am wearing it on my cheeks today. Yeah, just a lovely kind of shimmery pink, but I appreciate having this in my collection. I don't know, is it spectacular? Is it worth all the angst that I had trying to get my hands on it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but it was a beautiful product nonetheless, the Stereo Rose. Let me know if you had a Stereo Rose in your collection. 2 more powder face products. This is an Extra Dimension Skin Finish, Whisper of Guilt. Very highly sought after. You can see I've used it a little bit, but beautiful embossing powder finish there in the pan. This was a gold tinted highlighter. Whisper of Guilt was an absolutely beautiful one. MAC really do very nice highlighters. And this is the final highlighter that I have that's really worthy of a mention. I don't remember hearing a whole lot about this on YouTube. I think maybe Candy. I can't think of her name. But Candy. I remember Candy talking about this powder. It's a loose powder. It is their Silver Dusk loose powder. It's a loose powder highlighter, and it's just such a gorgeous product. It comes in a sifter, so it goes everywhere, not nearly as practical as a pressed powder highlighter. You need the tiniest amount. It just has a beautiful finish on the skin, a beautiful powder product. I love that one. Okay, now moving on to some colour. Have to mention again another product that was pretty much in every makeup YouTuber's video were their paint pots. So everyone applied painterly before they started their eyeshadow tutorials, and of course we all wanted to blank out the colour on our lids, and I have purchased a new painterly paint pot or soft ochre paint pot over the years. I've never been without one. They do dry out over time. They certainly do. I don't think I've ever gone through a whole paint pot. Soft ochre is a really nice one if you have more of a yellow tone. Painterly is a nice one if you have more of a pink tone on your lids. A nice base, I guess, for eyeshadow if you want that colour to pop. Soft ochre. And then some of the other paint pots that I absolutely loved. I mentioned some in a recent video that I made about beauty throwbacks, but the Rubenesque, I don't think they make Rubenesque anymore. It's like a gold tinged pink. Mine is completely dried out. I just kept it for old time's sake just to look at it, but I can't even swatch it for you. It's just too dried out. Rubenesque was an absolutely beautiful one. I also loved Indian Wood. Indian Wood I have repurchased many times over. A beautiful bronzy brown. I'll wear this like on a Saturday when I don't want to wear much. I'll just blend it all over my lid underneath my lash line, and it's just a beautiful bronzy mid-tone brown. Love Indian Wood. And then the final one, more of a matte kind of medium brown. I still really love Groundwork, and I think you can still find Groundwork as well. Sometimes I'll just put it on my very outer corners or just under my lash line, nice and long lasting throughout the day. I guess it's more of a purpley brown. It's a cooler brown, but beautiful blended all over the lid and under the lash line. Love MAC paint pots. Also can't not mention their Fluidlines, whether it was their Blacktrack. What was their brown one? You'll let me know down below in the comments. I think I still have one. And then they also had some lovely limited edition Fluidlines, blues and purples and greens and gorgeous shades there. While we're talking about liners, I have to share with you how utterly distraught I am that they've discontinued the MAC Eye Kohl in Teddy. Every so often I'll be, running through an airport to a gate or to a luggage collection, and if I see there's MAC there, I'll just stop and have a little scan to see if I can see any Eye Kohls in the shade Teddy. I have a tiny bit of pencil left. I love this. It stays creamy, it's blendable, it goes on the waterline. I'm going to miss it when I can't get my hands on any more. Some MAC brushes that I have loved over the years. The 187, this was a really good one for applying mineralized skin finishes and even foundations back when it came out. Probably was never one of my absolute favorites. The 224, that fluffy domed brush, that was probably the very first fluffy domed brush I ever had. And the 217, I have bought hundreds, I would say hundreds or tens of knockoffs of the MAC 217 over the years. The number of makeup tutorials that I watched where people were using the 217, unbelievable. And then Sigma came along, of course. Was it the E17 that they came out with? And yeah, many knockoffs. These were two probably my favorite MAC brushes of all time. I have since bought and really love the 109. I use this every day generally for blush. I absolutely love the 109. And for liner, you can't go past their angled, very fine angled liner brush called the 208. Some great brushes there from MAC that you can still find. Can't talk about MAC without talking about their eyeshadows. Remember? Do you remember the day back when it was eyeshadows? We all knew all the MAC eyeshadows. This was before Makeup Geek, before Colourpop, before, you know, all the other eyeshadow brands that have come since, and it was all singles. We paid like, gosh, $20 or something, $15 for a single eyeshadow. I would have to pull out, I've still got my, actually I'm sure I filmed I must have filmed a video taking you through this palette that I made up of MAC single eyeshadows. If I did, I'll include a link to it somewhere here. But some of my favorites still to this day would be the vanilla. The vanilla eyeshadow was just a cream, just a matte cream, a great one for the inner corner, the lid, the brow bone if you want to do that kind of thing. A shimmery white here, I really loved Shroom. Shroom, another one, great if you wanted a little bit more of a shimmer for your inner corner, your lid, or no, not your brow bone. Never do that. Another favorite here was Woodwinked. Love Woodwinked. Just a shimmery, I've got that all over my lid today, a shimmery mid-tone brown, absolutely beautiful Woodwinked. And then for a transition, soft brown. Can't go past the soft brown. Really love that one too. So MAC, yeah, gosh, they made some beautiful eyeshadows. I think there's just so many now to choose from that are far more affordable, that come in palettes, that are a little bit more exciting. I think MAC shadows have probably had their time. I think you can get, you know, just as good if not better quality for lower prices these days, and I don't think MAC has kind of moved with the times, so it's not quite, doesn't quite have the same appeal that they used to have for me, definitely. Okay, a favorite blush that I had, this is almost like a bronzer and blush in one, would be the shade Harmony. I absolutely loved Harmony as almost like a blushy bronzer shade. Absolutely gorgeous one there. Some of my other favorite blushes included, oh, I'm wearing this one today. This is Rosy Outlook. Really like that. I put Rosy Outlook underneath and then Stereo Rose over the top of that. But some of my other really favorites still are Well Dressed. Well Dressed, a really, you know, cool toned sort of dolly pink. And this one here as well, Warm Soul. Absolutely love Warm Soul as sort of a shimmery, beautiful bronzy. You can just bronze your face up with that one. Right, we are just about done here, except the lipstick that I'm wearing today. Can't talk about MAC without all of the different lipsticks, obviously, that they are so famous for. We loved Russian Red, we loved Velvet Teddy, we loved Lady Danger. I loved Hue. Hue was my favorite sort of glossy nude that I wore for many years. And remember when the nude lip and the smoky eye was the thing? Blankety was sort of the nude shade. What I'm wearing today is actually a limited edition shade. It's called Almondine. It's a luster lipstick, just one that you can apply all day long without a mirror. One of those types of products. Beautiful kind of peachy pink, lovely finish, very comfortable. Love the vanilla fragrance of MAC lipsticks. And, you know, again, I don't think you can really go past the collection, the shades, the availability of shades. They really put MAC on the map, I think. Many of these products did. And then the lip glosses. This is the very final product I'll share with you today, the lip glosses. I think this one, yep, that one is not good anymore. You can definitely tell from the scent of it. But this is Underage. This was the very first MAC lip gloss that I ever bought. And again, I think it was Candy Johnson, who introduced me to the MAC lip gloss Underage. I think, if not Nymphette, See-Through, lots of lip glosses that I loved from MAC. That was my adventure with MAC. I must say that I'm not all that inspired when I go into MAC anymore. The things that I still look for, occasionally I'll look for the new makeup collections. I don't get quite as excited about staying on top of whatever their new limited edition collection is. I don't know, take it or leave it. You kind of see the same things come around. I always go back to look for paint pots. I always go back for Fix Plus. I always go back for Studio Fix or the foundations or the concealers. I still love they have a green cleanser, which is great. I always get that for travel. I love their little tubies, and I love their cleansing oil as well. They just have a great travel size closable, you know, pump of their cleansing oil. Really fabulous for travel. But yeah, MAC, I don't know. I'm just not as fanatical about it as I used to be, but going through all of these products, there are so many loves of mine from MAC that I still love and hold very dear. Let me know down below what MAC products you still hold dear or what you went crazy for back in the past. How do you feel about MAC the brand right now? Do you enjoy going to the store or ordering it online? And do you enjoy what you see? Are they still bringing it, or have they fallen a bit? Thank you so much for watching and taking another trip down memory lane with me. I've really enjoyed it. Let me know if you would like to see another video of another brand highlighted. I'd love to take you on that adventure with another brand. There's many to go through. I hope that you managed to make it a gorgeous day, and please don't forget, you are absolutely beautiful, whether you use any of this stuff or not. And so much more important than looking beautiful is being it. I will see you again really, really soon. Bye.
You see